Okay, guys, take it away when ready.
All right. Mike, are you ready?
I'm ready, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Glass Half Sports. It is Thursday, April 5th. This is our 46th episode of Glass Half Sports. This show has more charisma than a Mystic Mac press conference. I can promise you that. I am one half of your hosting duties, Nick Huffman, as always, joined by a man that I will be sharing the press box with today in our first ever live sports coverage of the St. Paul Saints. Mike Mensing, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing well, man. I'm looking forward to the Saints game. I'm looking forward to talking with our great guest that we have today as well.
Oh, yeah, that's it. We got a big show. So for everybody to come in and watch, especially because we have such a great guest on today, where can they find us, Mike?
Yeah, guys, as always, you can find us on obviously Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you want to catch us on local cable as well in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, you can catch us on MCN 6 at 10 p.m. on Saturday nights.
That's right. And then big show. Why don't you run through the topics real quick so everybody knows exactly what they got in store for them during the show today?
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to kick off the show talking Twins with our guest, Nash Walker. Spoiled it a little bit. We have a segment called The Wolves Funeral. Wild playoff berth and talking Minnesota Wild playoff hockey. And then we're going to go over our NFL draft grades.
Yeah, and then we got a little bit of a hot corner at the end of the show today. Just a few things in sports that are going on, dealing with some suspensions, and then some things in NCAA football as well. Not to mention, we will be giving away more cards today, as we always do, out of the Bowman's Best Box. But without any further ado, we can kick right into our Twins talker. It is a difficult Thursday today for me. With our special guest, as always, personality from Twins Daily and host of Locked On Twins, Nash Walker. He is a fan favorite around here, folks. Let's give him a warm welcome as he joins us, man. How you been?
Real good, guys. Real good. Enjoying the return of Twins baseball and looking forward to your draft grades. Come on. NFL draft, Vikes, questionable. I'm curious to hear certainly later today what you guys think of that.
Well, we will definitely have plenty of that for you, so make sure you stick around towards the end of the show. But yeah, man, the Twins are off and running to start the year, winning 11 of their last 12 ball games. Last night, a little bit of a slip up and giving up 9 runs, but the ball club has been pretty good. So, I mean, I guess we can talk, as we always do, Mike, about the week that was with the series between Tampa in Baltimore. Nash, we'll get your thoughts first on the last 2 series for the Minnesota Twins. What has stood out to you the most?
I think this team feels different in the early going. They're 15-10. They're in first place. If you would have shown me on opening day the standings after 25 games, and it's the Twins at 15-10, the White Sox at 11-13, I'd say that's a great start for them. Both ways. I mean, for the Twins to win 15 of their first 25 with a tough April schedule. April is one of their toughest months of the year. To be 15-10, I think, is a great thing. Now, today they need to win this series with Baltimore. You have to take advantage of a May schedule that's light, and we'll get to that. But I think the team feels different because Friday night in St. Pete, Dylan Bundy's on the mound, gives up 6 early runs in the first couple innings. The Twins lose 6-1 after winning 7 straight. And you think, oh no, this is going to be a tough series. What do? They bounce back immediately. They blow out the Rays in the next 2 games. And then they go to Baltimore and they win those first 2 games of a 4-game set. So I think the team feels different in their ability to bounce back here early on. And we'll see that again tonight after, as you said, giving up 9 in last night's loss. But it feels different this year. They feel like a more complete club. I think Carlos Correa has changed things there in some ways. It's still early, but you have to be encouraged if you're a Twins fan with this start, especially considering where the White Sox are at and their schedule coming up. I think the Twins can build a 2019-like lead here in May. That's how light the schedule is for them. They can make some hay, get up, put some pressure on the Sox, and the Twins are no longer the hunted. They're the hunter this year, which I think they're taking advantage of and wearing on their sleeve. And so far, I mean, they look like the best team in the Central through 25 games, and it is 25 games, but right now you have to be encouraged.
Yeah, and I think, me and Mike have talked about this before. I think, you get to 25, 30 games, you get a full month of baseball and you go, okay, well, if we stretch this out over a season, what does that look like? What is sustainable? They've had some moments, but they've had some poor moments. Not everything has fallen into place, but they continue to win. Very reminiscent of what we saw out of the Wild early in the season for hockey, or the Timberwolves early in the season, where everybody was like, okay, maybe sit up a little bit, take notice of this squad as they get rolling, because there isn't a lot of holes to be found. So got a couple of questions for you, obviously, just to kind of see what your thoughts have been, as you've been a whole lot more involved in the Twins organization than we have. And I want to start with the Miguel Sano, Jose Miranda thing. Miguel Sano goes down for knee surgery. It looks like about 2 months before he's back. And then we get the unveiling of Miranda Mania. He's got a double, an RBI double, and has played really well in the field since being introduced to your ball club. What do you think the feeling is? Is Miguel going to come back, or is that Miranda spot to lose now?
The odds of Miguel Sano remaining a Twin after this season have never been closer to 0 to me. I would be shocked if he was back next year. $14 million club option, $2.75 million buyout. They will happily pay him $2.75 next year. So I'm certain, almost certain, that he will be gone next year. And yeah, you mentioned Miranda. I mean, we knew he was going to play into this team early on. We knew that he was going to have a prominent role this year. And that's another thing you mentioned, Nick, with the team this year. It feels like they have reinforcements. They have Josh Winder. They have Cole Sands, who's there, who can pick up a start. They have Jose Miranda. They brought up Trevor Larnach. He's looked pretty good here in the early going. They have other guys for depth, which is a difference of this team than it was last year when they had a lot of injuries. And this is Miranda's spot to lose now. Kirilloff's on the mend. He'll be back soon, and that'll be a first base platoon probably with Luis Arraez as well, who's looked pretty good at first. So, I mean, Miguel Sano's spot is up for grabs right now. And when he returns, whenever that is, I think it'll be in between a flat out waiving him and giving him his job back. I think he's going to have that platoon role where he's starting against lefties. But you've seen in the last couple of years, Miguel Sano hasn't really hit lefties either. He's actually hit righties better than lefties. So it'll be difficult when he comes back, but you never know where they're going to be. I mean, who's going to be healthy, who's going to be on the injured list. You never know, but I'm at least fairly certain at this point that whenever he does come back, that'll be the last stretch you see of him in a Twins uniform, because they do have in-house options. I think they still, despite the risks, are excited about Alex Kirilloff. They're obviously excited about what Jose Miranda can do as just a complete hitter, someone who can hit for power and average and get on and not strike out. And yes, it's been in the early going, the hits aren't finding holes, but he's hitting the ball hard. He doesn't look overwhelmed really at the plate. So I think they are hopeful he's going to take that job and never look back. And certainly he'll get an opportunity to do that. But yes, the Miguel Sano era, I think, is coming to a close in Minnesota.
Round of applause for me. I'm glad it's over. Mike, you got something for Nash?
I'm very glad it's over. Honestly, my big question is, through 25 games, we are 15-10. We are looking like the best team in the AL Central. They do play in Minnesota, though. And as Minnesota fans, we know how that goes. So I guess my big question is, how encouraged or how hopeful should we really be as the season continues?
Super fair question, Mike. I think when you look at this team, you have to get back to what your expectations were. And my expectations were, I want them, and they should be in the race in the middle of the summer in a playoff hunt with the extra spot in the playoffs now. You look at the rest of the American League, the AL East is going to have 3 teams in the playoffs. What you're trying to avoid is 4 teams. So the Twins will be competing with the 4th team in the AL East, and they'll be competing with probably the 3rd place team in the AL West. But I think you can be cautiously optimistic, and we hear that a lot, certainly in this market. You can be cautiously optimistic that they have legitimate stars in Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa. They have a rotation that looks much improved with guys who have had success in the past. This isn't just a shot in the dark for Chris Paddock. He was great in 2019. He's added a new slider. He's throwing strikes. He's changed up his fastball. Is up more, which, you get swings and misses up there. He's really talented. So I think some of those things are sustainable. Other things like Dylan Bundy posting a sub-1 ERA through 4 starts you've already seen. Over his last 2 starts, he's given up 15 runs. They need to make changes at the right time. When Dylan Bundy's struggling on a 1-year, $4 million deal, this is a first place team. Like, how long do you let him start? Right. Those are the decisions that are important here. But Joe Ryan looks fantastic. I mean, Joe Ryan has been
Cy Young candidate
so far for the Twins. Yeah, he's been amazing. Struggled a little bit the other day, but even when he's off, or even when a team has a good plan, which Baltimore did, they were revving up their velocity machine before the game with high ride for Joe Ryan fastballs. Even when they have a good plan, he still wiggles his way out of situations because he's so deceptive. His fastball is so deceptive. He's added that new slider, and I think unlocked number 1 upside. So you have Joe Ryan Bailey Ober, we know, is solid when healthy. Sonny Gray's coming back. Chris Paddock, I mentioned, I'm excited about what he's done so far. And then Chris Archer's held it down in the back end. And I haven't even mentioned Josh Winder, who pitched 6 shutout innings in Tampa or in St. Pete with 7 strikeouts. And he's a top 100 prospect on some lists, and certainly a top Twins prospect. 90, 95 with a fastball, good slider, good change, good curveball, potentially 4 plus pitches there, at least plus pitches with Winder. And I was super excited about Winder coming into this year. And I think so far he's shown us why. He's going to step in and start games too. I mean, I think he's going to start Friday against Oakland at Target Field. He might be a number 3 right away as well. So the rotation, some guys look sustainable, others not so much. The bullpen, Yohan Duran has been, I don't really have words for Yohan Duran and his stuff. Like they're an arm short back there. Like if Duran were to go down, you would be concerned. And that's because Taylor Rogers is gone.
Yep.
Yohan Duran has cemented himself as a clear, high leverage, late inning closing option. And he's been fabulous. It's the young pitching so far. And that's what's exciting. That's what we should be encouraged about. The young pitching, getting it done, because they're here for 6-7 years, and that's what's exciting. Josh Winder, the Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, Yohan Duran, Griffin Jax out of the bullpen looks really good so far. That's what we should be excited about. Less so about early success, not so much anymore from Dylan Bundy or Chris Archer. Those things will probably stabilize, but the young pitching, that's the excitement there.
I love it. And when was the last time that the Twins had a guy in the bullpen? You're speaking on Duran.
Never.
That comes out and literally strikes fear into hitters. You know that you're going to get 95 plus on every pitch, and it's all got wiggle, and you're not going to be able to touch any of it. Like, it's so impressive to me to see that the Twins have that factor. And with him having starting ability, you talk about we're not super deep in the bullpen. If Bundy does struggle, I feel like, can Duran step in and get 5 innings for you? Absolutely. Can he come late in games if, it's a really high leverage situation? Yeah, he can do that. So he is the bullpen right now. And I love that for him because there's so much flexibility in what you can do with him that it allows the Twins to tinker with other things and not lock all of these guys down into different roles because he can plug and play almost anywhere that you need him to. It's almost like having Deebo Samuel in football, right? Is he a running back? Is he a wide receiver? Is he a gadget guy? Not necessarily. He's literally one of the best arms on the roster right now.
Oh, I'm really confident in saying he's one of the toughest relievers in baseball in terms of stuff right now. I'm confident in saying maybe Andres Munoz in Seattle. I mean, you have the Aroldis Chapman, Josh Haders of the world who have of course, they have long track records of success. But when you look at pure stuff, Yohan Duran's taking the world by notice. You go on Twitter when he starts pitching, Ninja's like obsessed with Yohan Duran. Rod Friedman loves Yohan Duran because nobody's seen the splinker he throws at 98 with more movement than you can even imagine for a pitch that's 98 miles an hour. Throws 102 and then has actually an underrated breaking ball. Salvador Perez, I think of his at bat against Salvador Perez in Kansas City, and Salvi tipped his cap to him after. I think he threw him 3 straight sliders, just disgusting sliders, because you're sitting 102. What do you do? Right. He's going to beat you, and he throws strikes. He comes in for his first opportunity to close in Baltimore Monday night. It might have been Tuesday night, but came in to close. 9 pitches, 7 strikes. I mean, he's never been in a bullpen before, and he's just coming out pumping strikes. That's another thing I've noticed about these young pitchers. They're so composed. You watch Joe Ryan, you watch Bailey Ober, you watch Yohan Duran or Griffin Jax. They're so calm and composed for rookies. It's really, really impressive to see. And I think that's Yohan Duran. I mean, he's appointment viewing. Every time he comes out to see what he does and throwing strikes. It's really special what we're watching from him right now.
Really quick, Nash, you were just talking about sustainability and how some players, you can see them sustaining their hot starts and some not. My question is Byron Buxton, maybe 3rd in MVP race right now. Does he continue?
Yes.
Is that sustainable?
Yes.
Is my question.
His performance, is sustainable for sure. Is his health sustainable? You know the answer. Like, no, it doesn't. It is. But what Byron Buxton brings, we know there's never a good day. And Justin Morneau said this last night. That was a great point. There's never a good day to get him a day off. Like he sat last night because the Twins are playing a bunch of games in a row. And everybody's like, Byron Buxton's out of the lineup. What's going on? There's never a good day. You can be a May game in Baltimore and everybody's still upset Buxton's out of the lineup because he does so much for this team. And the dynamic of the team is so much different with him at the top of lineup in center field. That White Sox series, I mean, I get the chills talking about watching him in that White Sox series. Talk about taking control of a series. And I think that was emblematic of what he can do this year for this team. Their whole goal, the number one goal, is taking over the White Sox in the Central. The defending champs, a team that's in the middle of their window. Byron Buxton has to be at the heart of that. Without Byron Buxton, I don't think they can do that. But with him, anything's possible. And we've seen that in that White Sox series. I loved what that showed. 96 at the letters from Liam Hendricks and just takes it out for a walk-off three-run homer. The things he can do, it's incredible. And his performance is sustainable, maybe not a 700 slugging percentage, but as we always say, what is it? I mean, everybody with me, stay healthy. That's all it is. All it is. But right now, they're very cautious with him, which I understand. He only played 61 games last year, had a knee injury scare. I mean, I think we're all certain he was going to be out for 6 months when he pounded the ground at Fenway. So they're taking care of him, but right now he's healthy. Cross your fingers. Right now he looks good and he's healthy.
Knocking on wood over here too. And what's incredible is I think the Twins are approaching it the right way right now. You get 2 wins in a row like that against a bad ball club. And I think me and Mike talked about this every week. If you've got 6 games and you've got 4 of them in the bag already, get that guy a day off. If he only plays, we talked about it last week. If he goes 105 games, he's made his money. And he's available for the playoffs. He has absolutely made his money because when he's on the field right now, and the broadcasters I've even heard recently are starting to lend credence to it. When he's on the field, he is without a doubt one of the best players in baseball at the plate, in the field, for the clubhouse. And I think having Correa around has, in Correa's belief in him, everybody else has started to buy into that as well, which has only helped him. So I think that's absolutely incredible. So before we get into next week's schedule, which we'll touch on, we have a segment that we do every week, Nash, which we'll loop you in on, called Top Twin. So I'm going to let Mike lead off here, where we pick a twin from the last week who has been the best player in the lineup, and we're going to give him some credit. So Mike, what do you got for Top Twin this week?
So I kind of cheated the rules this week, Nash. So Top Twin, the way I look at it, is the performance or lack thereof of said player that has been the most addition to the Twins in the past week. So the top twin for me is the fact that Miguel Sano is on the bench.
Wow.
Well, that's fair.
Because getting him out of the lineup, I think, adds more confidence. I think he takes away from that culture of Buxton and Correa and the things that we're building. Mm-hmm. I think the best part of this past week and the way that we've been playing is getting Sano out of the lineup.
All right, that's fair. For me, and then we'll kick on over to Nash, I've got Correa as the top twin,
second,
right? Listen, the guy's hitting almost 400 over the last week or so. Hit a 2-run bomb last night, just no doubted it. Kind of Buxton-esque, got it up at the numbers, still was able to get the barrel of the bat under the baseball, deposited it to deep center field. It wasn't like he yanked it down the line. So he's been hitting really well, right ahead of him being able to see his former team for the first time since, coming to Minnesota. So my honors are going to Alex Correa this week for top twin. Nash, who is your spotlight for the Twins over the last week?
I'll take Correa too, because a lot of Twins fans were thinking, or there was rumblings like, oh my goodness, this is a $35 million infielder, 20 games. What is he doing? Which I get it. Like, he needs to produce, but late spring training.
Right.
I always just came back. Anytime I was asked or talked about Correa's struggles in the first 15 or 20 games of April, it's Carlos Correa. And now he's Carlos Correa again. And even when he's not hitting, he's such a tremendous defender at short. And you've seen him make some amazing plays there. A couple blunders here and there, but just highlight level plays. I think that's been another surprise last night, notwithstanding. Last night was just an ugly game.
Yeah.
The defense, the infield defense for the Twins has been very impressive. And then when you have an outfield that's Celestino, Buxton, Kepler, I don't know if they've had a better defensive outfield since Torrey Hunter was in center. And I think that their defense can be a difference maker for them this year. Ray at short, Polanco looks so much more comfortable at second. Urshela has made some great plays at third. I think the defense can be something that is a huge asset for them this year, and Correa certainly brings that. But once he's hitting too, you're talking about a 6-7 win player over a full season. Literally adds 6 or 7 wins to a team. He's so good. And now he's hitting in the middle of the lineup. And when you have Buxton and Correa and they're both dialed in, and you're getting contributions from Max Kepler, who's sick right now, but hopefully back today, It's a tough lineup to beat 1 through 9. Ryan Jeffers been hitting. I'll give him second place, would be Ryan Jeffers, who really was hot last week and hit a 3-run homer to take control of this game of the Baltimore series. But Correa, Buxton, the offense will go as far as they take it, as far as upside. But Kepler, Jeffers, Gary Sanchez, other guys in the bottom of that lineup are also incredibly important for this group. And Miranda's in there. Larnach is in there. I'll go Correa and Jeffers are my 1-2 for last week.
Good, I didn't say Correa.
Yeah, no joke. Then we would have had a clean sweep. It would have been our first ever clean sweep. Way to ruin that, Mike.
Yep.
But speaking of things that the Twins shouldn't be able to ruin, let's talk about this upcoming schedule. They get to come home to play a couple of games where they will be squaring off 3 games versus Oakland, who seem to be the fire sale Oakland these days. Get rid of any and all talent and see how it rides. And then, like we said, Correa is going to get a look in a 3-game series against his former team in his new ballpark in the Houston Astros with Yordan Alvarez absolutely crushing the ball right now. What are your expectations for them over, the next 6 games or so? I know me and Mike have been saying, and I mentioned it earlier, if you've got 6, you got to get 4 of them. That's just kind of the recipe for success throughout the season if you do want to supplant the White Sox like you were talking about.
Absolutely. 3 out of 4 in Baltimore that's the goal. And then 2 out of 3 from Oakland. This Oakland team is terrible. I mean, they're always going to find a way, it feels like, to win some ball games. Every team, like the Orioles, are going to win 50 games this year, right? They're going to find ways to win, but Frankie Montas not going to pitch in that series. He's the one guy you circle that game and say, okay. And we talked about Montas as a Twins trade target. We'll continue to do that as we get closer. If the Twins are still in it come the trade deadline. But Oakland's not good. You have to at least take 2 out of 3 there. And then the thing I love about this schedule in May, their tougher series, which is Houston. I mean, Houston's tough, but Cleveland, they're at home in those series. And then they have the Royals and the Tigers. The Tigers have looked really, really, really bad.
Defensively atrocious.
And Kansas City, I don't think is scary. I mean, they beat the Twins 2 out of 3. The Twins were terrible offensively in that series, but I'm not scared of Kansas City. I believe they have 4 or 5 games against Kansas City coming up as well. But I love the Cleveland matchup at home because they have played Cleveland really well the last couple of years. Even when the Twins were not good last year, I think the reason they play Cleveland well is because traditionally, at least in the last handful of years, the Twins have had a much better lineup than a pitching staff. Cleveland's got a great staff. I would rather face a great staff and a mediocre offense than a great offense and a mediocre staff if I'm the Twins. And that's why I think they played Cleveland really well. Houston, I mean, they're starting to get into it now. Altuve's back. That series. I mean, it would be awesome to take 2 out of 3 in that series. If they did that, I mean, I think people would be on notice if the Twins got through that Oakland series, took 2 out of 3, beat the Astros, and then beat Cleveland. At that point, I think the White Sox are on complete notice as well as, oh no, here come the Twins. Right now, the jury's out. We don't know, but they could get to the end of this month. And I have them going 18-13 in May. If they go 18-13 in May, and that includes that first game of that Tampa series, they'd be in a great spot, right? 9 or 10 games above 500, I believe, at that point going into June. And you look at the Sox schedule in June. The reason I keep focusing on the Sox is because who else is going to compete in this division? I mean, this division, Cleveland had a decent start. They just don't have the bats. They just don't. And all their pitchers, Shane Bieber, Cal Quantrill, Zach Plesac, they're all 2 miles an hour less on their average fastball velocities right now. Just don't look great. Detroit, I mentioned, might be done. They're going to go on a run, but they have to go now on the road, and they have a tough schedule. I don't love Detroit at all, and I don't like Kansas City. So focus on the Sox. Focus on the upcoming schedule for the Twins as a way to make hay. Would be awesome to not only beat the A's 2 out of 3 or even sweep that series. I think they could sweep that series at home. Looks like it's going to be Winder Friday. And then Sonny Gray may be back next week for Houston. So compete in that series as well. They beat Houston last year on the road 3 out of 4. So they know how to beat Houston. And even this year, I mean, they look better. So yeah, this is a chance for the Twins to make hay on a weak schedule. This is their weakest month of the year. And as we've seen in the past, in 2019, the reason the Twins won 101 games in 2019 is not because they beat good teams all the time. They were 500, I think, against winning teams. It's because they destroyed bad teams, just destroyed them, took advantage of bad teams. And that's what first place clubs do. That's the separator. How do you play against bad teams? Have to take care of business. I think the Twins can. It starts tonight, though. 3 out of 4 in Baltimore. You split with Baltimore. You don't feel great about that.
No, not at all. All right, so before we let you go, I got one last question for you because there have been some rumors floating around Twitter and Instagram and places like Twins Daily. Did I hear something that Carlos Correa is going to go ahead and sign an actual long-term deal here in Minnesota? Give me the facts on whether or not we're looking at, keeping him tied pretty much to Buxton for the long term.
That's the first thing you thought of when he signed the contract, right? Like, what are the odds that he's here beyond that 1 year? I would still say they're not good, but I think we might be sitting. I mean, Carlos did say he would love to stay, and if you pay him enough money, he will stay. It often comes down to money, but also rumors and reports that the Orioles offered him $300 million, and he's like, oh, no. I'm not going to Baltimore. So the team still has to be competitive. There were rumors that Carlos, in his negotiations, was bringing WAR projections to teams and saying, this is how many games you're projected to win this year. How are you going to improve on that? Because he wants to win.
Yeah.
That makes you hopeful about what the Twins have here, that he chose to spend his age 27 season in Minnesota. I think he likes the talent here. I think he likes the talent in the pipeline. And I wouldn't be surprised if he re-signed, but what it would take is, for the first time in franchise history, the Twins stepping up and offering, $200, $250, $275 million to Carlos Correa. I think for the right number, he would stay. I don't think he's anti-Minnesota. Actually, on the contrary, I think he said he'd prefer to stay. Like, I think he likes his teammates. You talk about an infield that is, Latin-based with Jorge Polanco and Gio Urshela, and you have still a Latin core of this team, and I think Correa fits that very well as a Spanish speaker. I think he fits in really well with just the group as a whole, as a leader with Byron Buxton. He's made sense since day one. I really think so. And maybe at times Donaldson was forced in this team. Like, just the way that he fit in didn't feel as smooth as Correa. And that's just a feeling, it's conjecture. But everything we've heard so far is that Correa's fitting in like a glove. He loves it. We'll see what happens. We'll see if he stays healthy. We'll see if he performs. I think he will if he is healthy. And then at the end of the year, where are the Twins at? Like, do they make the playoffs? Do they finally break their playoff losing streak? If they have some success in the playoffs, how does that impact Correa's decision? They still have to step up. I mean, do you guys see Jim Pohlad stepping up? I don't know. I don't know if he would ever do that. It's questionable. But he said there are also reports that Jim Pohlad loves Carlos Correa and was so into the idea of making him the highest paid infielder of all time when they gave him that $35.1 million for this year. So if that's true and that was valid reporting, I think it's possible that this could finally be the time where Pohlad steps up, and if he wants to win and he's true to his word, steps up and says, let's keep him around. He makes a ton of sense for this roster.
Well, we appreciate it, man. And we hope we get the chance to keep him. Maybe we could just give him all of Miguel Sano money now. Like, if that makes sense, let's just give him some more money now. But hey, man, as always, glad to have you. And early congratulations on your graduation from college, and also good luck on your play-by-play broadcasting gig with the All-Star team, the college All-Star team in California that I know you'll be taking off for on Sunday. We will always be willing to have you back. Hopefully, one of these days we'll get you in the studio here. Ladies and gentlemen, fan favorite, Twins Daily and Locked On Twins podcast host, Nash Walker.
Here he is, Jimmy. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Mike, Nick, we'll talk soon, okay? Appreciate you guys.
Take care, boss. As always, just an incredible guest.
As always.
Can't knock it, man. Well, Mike, what are your expectations for the Twins' upcoming week?
Expectations, I'm going to say 4-3. If we can turn, or I guess it's 6 games. I'm going to say 4-2.
Okay.
If we can maintain that pace, like you said, that's going to be key to our success. May looks really weak, dude.
Yeah.
It's Oakland into Houston. Houston is our only difficult matchup that entire month, and it's only a 3-game series. Like Nash was saying, we go Cleveland, Oakland again, and then Kansas City, Detroit to finish it off.
Got to continue to stretch the lead. That's what it's all about right now, especially with the White Sox not playing up to standard. I mean, hey, they look like the Cubs in the early 2000s.
It's interesting because nobody was expecting this sort of a start out of the Twins.
Yeah.
You have to capitalize.
You absolutely
and
have to.
Having that strong of a start after a tough month of April that nobody saw going well for you.
Right.
And then you go into, like Nash said, your weakest month of the year. Now is the time. Are you for real?
Time to put some motherfuckers on notice.
Yeah, we got to play good baseball.
So
if we have a shot at the playoffs, we have to obliterate, in my opinion.
Couldn't agree more. Ladies and gentlemen, in the comment section, let us know what your thoughts are on the week that was for the Twins, who your top twin of the week was, and what your expectations are for us as we roll home to take on the Oakland Athletics in a 3-game series with a day break in the middle before we take on Carlos Correa's former team in the Houston Astros. We will get back to you live here on the show because it's an interactive show, or in the comment section afterwards. We love hearing from you, and we can move on to what, Mike?
Card giveaway.
That's right. We like giving stuff away on this show. So, Mike, why don't you go ahead and pick a name out of this bowl? The Mike Trout card stayed on the table because we did not get a response. So that is still available for you, along with all of the beautiful autographed cards that you see up here in the background, folks. So Mike will draw for a name. Drum roll, please.
Okay. Everybody can see my eyes are turning away.
Thank you, Gabe.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm pretty sure he's won a card already.
He has. That's his. Well, he's entered multiple times.
I don't
So
blame
this is Zach Sandbakken. This is the second card that you have won on our show. This is what happens, folks, when you have unlimited entries. Your name stays in the bowl. You get a shot at a lot of really good cards. So we will reach out to you to make sure that you can claim your second card from Glass Half Sports. Congratulations on being this week's winner. And Mike, why don't you run them through the rules for the contest so they know how to win like he did?
Yeah, guys, if you want to be in the contest for next week's show, all you have to do is basically share our content with the card or player that you would like to win. So just share the video on Facebook, retweet it on Twitter, share it on Instagram or TikTok with the player's card that you would like to win. Your name goes into the bowl. It's unlimited entries, and we'll roll with it. Hopefully you get a card from us.
Yeah, we draw every week, and like Mike said, unlimited entry. So any platform you enter on, that's one entry into the contest. So let's go through the card, shall we?
Oh. Hey, why don't we, did we introduce who we're doing again? I mean, the brand, Bowman's Best. Okay, just making sure.
Yep, so these are the Bowman's Best 2021 series, folks. We are almost out of these, so we will be rolling into a new card set here in the next couple of weeks. But we've got some pretty good cards out of here so far, to include the Mike Trout one that you see up front there. But here are this week's cards. So starting with Spencer Howard from the Rangers. Ooh, a Freddie Freeman Braves card. Let me see if I can square this up here. Bang.
That's a good one.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh, the Shohei Ohtani Angels card. You like that? We got our future Vibrance Andrew Vaughn card from the White Sox.
I don't know that dude.
He's actually pretty good.
He's got some upside.
He's part of that young core over there in Chicago. We got our Matt Chapman card with the A's, who is now with Toronto, I think.
That sounds right.
Dylan Carlson with St. Louis.
Scherzer.
Our Max Scherzer card.
300-game winner.
That's right, with the Dodgers. Then we've got Jordan Lawler with the Snakes out there in the desert. Jose Altuve, little refractor card there for you.
Cheater refractor.
That's right. Cheater refractor card.
Do I hear a trash can right now?
And then last but not least, if you're a Minnesota Twinkies fan, here's one of your future studs in Austin Martin. So those are the cards that we have to give away. Mike, run them through the rules one more time while I take these and get them where they need to be.
Yeah, really quick, guys. Again, on any social media platform, you just need to share our content with the player's name that you would like to win. So again, on TikTok, just share the video with the player's name that you would like to win. On Instagram, share the clip or picture with the player's name. Twitter, you can take a screenshot and add us as well with the card that you would want to win. And then on Facebook, obviously, just share the video.
And we go back just to mention Shohei again. Did you see his line drive ground rule double that he hit this week?
I did.
That was insane.
The guy just beats the hell out of the baseball.
Highest exit velo all time.
Was it really?
Measured. That's what they have, the highest measured. And now I got to look it up what it is. I want to say it was either 110 or 117. I can't remember, but I feel like it was one of those two.
It's got to be
numbers.
117.
117?
That's incredible.
Yeah,
it was, bananas.
Nick and I actually were talking earlier because I think Miranda's double was 112, wasn't it?
Yeah, Miranda's double off the bat was 112. So his first big league hit landed at over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's pretty insane. But what do we got next, Mikey?
I actually just want to shout out Nash one more time.
That's
kind of pertains to one of our cards that we unveiled today as well. So, guys, Nash Walker is an absolute friend of the show.
Yes.
He's an absolute great follow on Twitter as well. You can find him at Nash Walker 9. And he actually just tweeted a couple days ago about Austin Martin. Austin Martin has reached base in 19 games in a row with the Wichita Wind Surge.
It's almost like he's a pretty good ball player.
He's a pretty good ball player.
He's
You
a
might
pretty
want
good
that
ball
card. Yeah.
Oh.
You might want that card.
Something to pay attention to. And actually, believe it or not, if you look, that card is the one that's on the box, folks. So, I mean, that's got to count for something. But yeah.
Also, in exercising our new tech that we've got, by the way.
The Glass Half Sports.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Analytics department.
Yep. The analytics department has come in, said it is 119.1.
Can you imagine if you're in the infield watching that ball go by you at 120 miles an hour?
Nope.
It was the hardest hit ball by a left-handed batter since StatCast was introduced in 2015. And
Good Lord.
Oh, and the previous record was held by Ohtani.
Oh,
At
weird.
119.
I didn't know that. That is crazy.
You guys out here breaking his own records.
Wow.
Jesus.
What a freak. What an absolute freak.
Babe Ruth. He's our Babe Ruth, man.
He is
On his
our
way.
generation's Babe Ruth. So
Bananas.
love to see it. Well, from jovial news to solemn moments, I am wearing black in preparation for our next topic. I guess we can kick on over into our Wild Wolf Watch and talk about the funeral that we are now going to have to put on the Minnesota Timberwolves 2022 playoff push. Mike, I'm going to let you start here before I lose my mind.
I mean, D'Angelo Russell must be traded.
Yes.
If you're going to pay a point guard $30 million and then take him out in a pivotal game with 5 minutes left because you don't trust him, get him the fuck out of your franchise.
Yeah.
I think Chris Finch, he better have learned his lessons in this playoff push.
Yeah.
Because he made some coaching errors and some large mistakes, in my opinion, that cannot be replicated or cannot be repeated.
Cannot be replicated. You couldn't make that mistake again. That's actually very
I couldn't
accurate.
replicate it.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate the way the playoff series went down, and I understand the frustration from Minnesota fans. Yes, we were a 7 seed. Yes, we made the playoffs with an extremely young core. Yes, we exceeded expectations. But when you play poor basketball with 5 minutes left and you're up by double digits, that's what's going to piss people off. I don't care if you're 20-60 and you're playing the last 2 games of the regular season. You have a 10, 15 point lead with 5 minutes, 7 minutes to go. Hold the lead.
Yeah.
Take good shots. Pass the ball. Stop taking threes early in the shot clock.
Yep.
Karl Anthony Towns, if you take another 3 earlier than 15 seconds in the shot clock, I'm going to burn your jersey. I don't even have one. I'm going to go buy one just to burn it.
Listen, and
so that's where I'm at. I mean, I'm still hopeful for the future. I think the benchmark for next year, the goal has to be 50 games, if not home court advantage in the playoffs.
It's the second round of the playoffs, without a doubt.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I think you have to get there through home court.
Yes, I would agree. The fans showed up. They and they had something to play for. But listen, I said it on the show last week. Game 3, the one that we won and blew them out, was an absolute fluke. We had leads of more than 10 points in 4 games during this series and lost 3 of them. And had that ball that went in pretty much at the buzzer when we were up 4, had we been a point less, we'd have been going to overtime. We probably would have lost that game too. The down the stretch collapses of the Minnesota Timberwolves lie squarely on the shoulders of players like Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell.
Does it lie on Finch's shoulders, in your opinion?
I mean, a little bit, yes. Some of it can be Chris Finch, not calling timeouts, maybe not being in the right rotation.
Not telling him in the huddle, stop fucking shooting the ball with 20 seconds left in the shot clock?
Exactly. But even if I tell you that as a coach and you go out and jack up the 3 from the sideline, there's still not a lot I can do about that.
Sit his ass down.
Right? So listen, man, the looking forward to the offseason, there's 2 things to pay attention to. What does the growth of Chris Finch and Anthony Edwards look like together as a pairing? And can you find trade partners for these 3 players? Malik Beasley, who came in out of shape and really wasn't himself early in the season and did not have an impact in the playoffs. D'Angelo Russell, who shrank to microscopic size in the playoffs, and Karl Anthony Towns, who has to be the most situationally and emotionally unaware player in the NBA. Those are all three massive retractors, not only from your salary cap, but to the culture that you are trying to build behind Pat Beverly and some of not Jarrett Culliver, but Vanderbilt and McDaniels and some of these other guys who look like they're ready to take the next step if they can get another star in-house that is an appropriate fit for what they want to do.
One thing I'm going to disagree with you on is I'm not ready to give up on Cat just yet.
How can you not be? How many years are we going to deal with this?
Because this is what I would do with him. I'd move him to the 4. I'd let him play the 4. If you get a true big man in here alongside Cat and let him space his game out, because Cat is not a 5 because he's soft as baby shit.
Yeah.
So if you can still facilitate his scoring and move him out to the 4, here's the thing. If you can't get another 5 to bring in, move the fuck on. Because he's too expensive to play the 5 in the way that he plays the 5. Like, I would rather have, who's the guy who used to play for the Rockets and is now with Clint Capella?
Yep.
I would rather have a 5 like that
Yep.
may not have the shooting range, but he's a physical presence. And
Yeah.
if he gets the ball on the freaking elbow, he'll back down a smaller Desmond Bane who's 6'8".
Right.
Like, Cat is just way too soft to be the 5 on an NBA team that's going to chase the championship.
That's fair. But here's the issue. It has already come out that the Wolves are expected to look for a trade partner for D'Angelo Russell. Right? Who is D'Angelo Russell's best friend?
I mean,
Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns also only has 2 years left on his deal. He's got after next year, he's going to be up for a new deal. Now,
he's got 1 year left.
He's got 1 year left. So we're at the tail end of that second year or whatever, that first of 2 years. If you get rid of D'Lo and you get a disengaged Cat for an entire season, and you try to trade a disengaged Cat, you're not going to get the value you want. If you trade him now, you give somebody control and you set yourself up to do one of the blockbuster trades that are more common in the NBA than any other sport, where you can move 2 big stars together and get an insurmountable haul in return. Think about like when what OKC did, trading away Westbrook and Paul George. They got picks that gave them a young core to where they're not going to have to pay anybody, but they're going to be able to bring in other talent around them for the next 5 years, right? Like situations like that where you can bring back something that's going to only strengthen the core around what you have now makes so much sense to me.
I mean, it's logical, but at the same time, you've been stoking this young core for basically 3 years since Jimmy Butler left. You've been stoking the fire of this young core for years.
Yeah.
They finally exceed expectations and go to the playoffs and played well in 3 quarters of the playoffs. If the games ended after 3 quarters, we would have won all of those games. I'm pretty sure.
Here's the thing. It doesn't.
I know, but that comes with experience and veteran leadership. And I don't know if I necessarily want to blow it all up when we did what we were supposed to plus some.
All right.
Like, here, let me ask you this. And it's a yes or no question.
Yeah.
Was this season a success for the Minnesota Timberwolves?
Sure.
Okay. Then why are you trying to blow it all up?
Because I'm trying to get out ahead of what I think is already inevitable.
So you're trying to build a larger winning window, like 3 to 5 years instead of just 1 year?
And that's because of the data that I've accumulated. My expectations have changed based on what I've seen in the past, right? Going into this playoff series, had D'Lo been a 15-point-a-night guy with 10 assists, sweet. Had Cat gone in and, kind of buckled things up for the playoffs and been a weapon on offense and a decent defender and stayed out of the referees' faces and done all those things, been a solid player, I would have been like, all right, let's roll it back next year. But I'm just trying to get us to a place to where we don't wind up getting nothing in return, where a guy just leaves. We got to do something because if we don't get out of the first round of the playoffs next year, Cat's probably leaving anyways. D'Lo's going to, leave anyways, or Cat's going to ask for a supermax, and now we're up against the cap, and we can't take advantage of what is one of the 2 or 3 greatest young stars in basketball, in my opinion, in Anthony Edwards. Like, you got to get out in front of it. You got to think long-term, like you often do, and So let's fantasy book it. What right now would be a suitable trade? Anybody is on the table. Anybody is on the table. Would be a suitable trade or sign and trade for Cat and D'Lo.
I mean, you got to bring in starting level players.
Yep.
So let me look at their roster really quick because I just thought of one that would be like somewhat interesting.
Because for me, I'm looking at DeAndre Ayton, who does not have a contract with the Suns, and you get DeAndre Ayton and picks back in return from the Suns, and then you go sign a free agent, or you start looking at, hey, can we go get Durant from the Nets for, as a guy with credentials and a legacy that can help coax along Anthony Edwards and is more than happy to play off ball. You know what I mean? Like, that's the level of talent I'm looking to get back for those two, and then very easily pencil us in for the playoffs next year.
See, I'm looking to get like a few players though.
Okay.
So like I would almost like gut the Atlanta Hawks. Like take Capella, take Gallinari, take Lou Williams as another point guard.
I'd take Lou.
And take Gorgie Jang back. Like get physical, get big, and give yourself facilitators to go around Anthony Edwards. Something like that, maybe.
We do lose a lot of offense losing Cat, though. So I would want to get some true offensive weaponry back in return.
Yeah, and I mean, Gallinari has the ability to score 10, 15 points. Capella's going to put up 10, 15. So, like, you're getting that offense back. You're just not getting it out of one player. And like I said, so this is like a facilitating trade that would be building pieces around. Here's our star, Anthony Edwards. Like, it kind of makes us built even more so like the Grizzlies. Here's our star. Here's some pretty dang good players around him that can do certain things.
Yeah. Would you move them to get the kid from Duke?
Which kid from Duke? There's a lot of kids from Duke.
Oh, you know who I'm talking about. And I'm drawing a blank on his name. Maybe you can look it up.
For the Hawks?
No. For the Wolves. Would you move?
No, like who does the kid from Duke play for?
He plays for Duke right now.
Oh. Okay.
He's coming out of the draft. He's one of the top two players. Chet Holmgren, and I'm forgetting the kid's name, but he was lights out in the tournament. He is a facilitator. He can fill up the bucket from range.
Cat for Chet.
I would move Cat for Chet. It's a hometown guy.
And I think even though he's smaller than Cat, he brings more of a physical presence, and he's more athletic.
Yeah.
Cat is clunky as hell.
Yes, he's uncoordinated.
Like, can he sit and like shoot a position 3? Yes. But like he's actually somewhat unathletic in my opinion, to be honest. And then on top of that, he's soft. He's so soft. Cat is the guy who broke up like with his girlfriend after 3 months and he'd cry.
Yeah.
Like just soft. And it's nothing against him as a person, but it doesn't fit as a 5 in the NBA, my friend.
No. And I mean, listen, Shaq and Barkley tore him down. I said this to somebody the other day, if there was ever a player that really could have benefited from Kobe still being around for a mentality check, Cat is the one player in the NBA that I think really could have used a summer learning from that mentality. You look at Booker, you look at Tatum, who were kind of labeled that way, kind of soft, a little childish. They went and trained with him, and look at what they are now.
Right.
It is 110% about mentality, and it is something where I truly believe it can't be coached. You are mentality-wise, between the ears, you are who you are. Very rarely do you see athletes flip that switch. And Cat has never been that guy. He's never had that gear up here, right? So get out in front of it, maybe move him now, or at least explore the options. Because they asked him in his presser about his contract situation. You know what his words were?
I don't know what his words were.
If it comes, it comes. I'm here to take life one day at a time, and I would love to be a Timberwolf, but if they offer me a contract, they offer me a contract. If they don't, then I guess I have to move on.
God, he is just a bowl of skim milk. Right
exactly.
Like, Jesus Christ. All right, well, I think we're going to have to ask the fans. What do the Minnesota Timberwolves do? Do they hold on to their assets and just hope that next year's better? Do they try to trade out of some of the assets that maybe didn't play up to their potential? Let us know in the comments. We'll make sure to circle back either during the show or afterwards.
My head nods were a hint for you, but from the death of one team in the playoffs to the birth of another, the Minnesota Wild are firmly in the middle of their series with the St. Louis Blues now. Mike, what were your thoughts on after game one? I just have to ask.
I thought I was right about the goalie trade.
I honestly thought you were too. But after last night, maybe not.
I mean, he played better.
He did play better.
We also played better in front of him.
Gotcha.
And I think there was an energy in game 2 that we were lacking in game 1 as well.
Okay. So let's break it down one game at a time. Game 1 for me, the Blues got to play their game on our home ice. They shut the fans up early with physicality, and we were playing on our heels. Like, we were just taking it pretty much all game, right?
As well. We
Like,
were a step behind.
super young,
Frustration played in.
super young, frustrated, fast roster that just kind of got out physicaled throughout the majority of game 1, and it showed in the score line after the game. Now, it doesn't help that, we go 0 for 6, what was it, like 0 for 6 on the power play, or 0 for 4 on the power play in the first game.
Yeah, I think we were 0 for 4 or 5, but St. Louis was like 3 for 6 as well, or 3 for 7. We gave them a lot of power. Like, there was 4 skaters on the ice for one team or the other for like half the game, which
Right. Can't
plays
happen.
right into the Blues strategy.
Exactly, because they can't play with us 5 on 5. And then their goalie played like,
he stood on his head.
yeah, it looked like a goddamn brick wall they had built in net in game 1. And I feel like, especially with, the Wild were what, 27, 9-3 at home this season. We get to game 2, and as soon as game 2 kicks off and we get that first goal, the lid came off the joint, and then it was just off and running for the rest of the game. And the Blues looked like they didn't have a clue what was going on. And so I think it was one of those things where they just needed to get off it seemed like a movie moment to me, right? Like, one that if they win the cup, they'll go back and be like, yep, game 1, we thought we were in trouble, but as soon as that puck hit the back of the net and they lit that lamp the first time, we never looked back. That's kind of the feeling I got in game 2. They played fast. They played physical. They played smart. They were in great positions all game. The goalie play was better, even though I questioned mightily sticking with Fleury in game 2 after the performance in game 1. But, Dean Evison was right. And the sticks, like, everything went right last night. And when everything goes right, the Wild are a handful to deal with.
They are. They're fast. They have a lot of scoring ability. What's lacking is the defense when it really kind of comes down to it.
Yeah.
And I think that showed in game 1. Fleury played average, I'd say. But what really hurt him and hamstrung him was the amount of rebound chances that we allowed as a defense.
Yep.
We're seeing the clips right here. These are all rebounds.
Yeah.
So is it on him? Slightly.
Maybe a little. You can't expect him to be the Fleury of 10 years ago, right? You got to play well in front of him.
Right. But he does have the ability to shut down teams still as well if you play good defense in front of him. So yeah. I think we just need to continue to do so. Now the question is, when do we see Talbot? Does Talbot start game 3? If Talbot loses game 3, now what? Now,
right.
Are we doubting that? So I think that now this whole playoffs is going to be which goalie should or shouldn't be in the goal, and then or like should or shouldn't have been in the goal.
Yeah.
I
think playoff experience.
I want to make this clear. I hope I'm wrong about the goalie trade. I hope I'm wrong. But
do not sit here and try to tell me that you would prefer to have had Cam Talbot in the goal for game 1 and 2, and then your backup be Kaapo Kähkönen.
Unless we win a cup, dude.
Oh, Jesus.
Or, here's the thing.
Here we go.
If we lose first round, am I still wrong?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's what gives you the best opportunity. You said it yourself.
What gives you the best opportunity is a larger winning window.
So there was no guarantee that Kaapo was going to resign at the end of this year anyways, because it was the end of his deal. Right?
There's no guarantee Fleury's back next year.
Correct. But who's going to give you the playoff veteran culture you need in that locker room during a cup run? How about a guy that started 300 games in goal in the playoffs alone?
It's all good. We're Minnesota. We're just going to go get guys after they're done being good elsewhere.
Whatever. Well, let's take a look at games 3, 4, and I think they're even going to squeeze in game 5 before we see you guys again. So 2 games in St. Louis before we head back to Minnesota, or is it 3 games in St. Louis?
I think it's 2-2, 1-1, and 1 in the NHL.
That's what I thought. So 2 games in St. Louis before they head on back to Minnesota. Who would you start? Let's start here. Who would you start in goal for game 3?
I'd probably start Talbot game 3 and then Fleury game 4 and kind of see where you're at.
Okay.
That way, hopefully one of them gets hot and you can steal one back
Out on the road.
I'd give Fleury his break now because if you lose game 3,
Then you're really
you basically need him the rest of the series.
Yeah.
So I would give him his break now.
I would agree. I think that's a smart move. Go with Cam Talbot. And if Cam Talbot comes out and is like the road warrior shutout guy on the road, then you start him again
in game 4.
And you save Fleury to come back home and start fresh
and win the series
in game 5 to close the series out. Yep. And then because we've got home ice advantage, then you get to reassess a little bit, right? So I think that's a wise move from the goalie standpoint. What are your expectations? The Blues come to play at home.
They do, but we do too. So I'm going to say we split it.
Okay.
I'm going to believe in a Minnesota sports team in the playoffs, believe it or not. I'm going to say we split it because if we don't, the season's over.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. I hear all of you other Minnesota sports media personalities. I'm ready to be hurt again. You know who's not ready to be hurt again, Mike? Me. I'm not ready to be hurt. So guess what?
That's when it hurts the most, though, dude.
We're taking both games in St. Louis.
Oh, God.
By a wide margin, might I add.
It's like 12 o'clock. Have you been drinking this morning?
I have not.
By a wide margin, he says.
I think we take both games by 2 or 3 goals.
I'm worried about you.
And it's convincing. What I saw last night was a team that cannot be beaten. What I saw last night was a team that is faster, a team that is better coached, a team that is more disciplined, a team that has better goaltending, a team that once they take down the defending or former Stanley Cup champions is getting ready to go get one of their own, is what I saw last night. I expect that energy to be duplicated in the 2 games that you get in St. Louis.
You could almost say replicated.
Yeah, you could almost say replicated in St. Louis. That's what I think.
mean, I hope you're right. I just know you're not.
I know. I know I'm right.
All right, with that, let us know what you think about the Minnesota Wild and their playoff berth and how this series against the Blues is going to play out. I was going to wear my Wild hoodie today.
Yeah.
To celebrate.
What happened to it?
Well, I had hung it back in the closet. I wore it for like a couple hours the other night and put it back in the closet. Grabbed it out of the closet this morning, laid it on the bed. I noticed a little Pop-Tart sticky handprint right on the back. So I had to put that one back.
Hashtag dad stuff.
Hashtag dad stuff.
Well, I mean, stuff happens. At least it was a little sticky handprint, not a large sticky handprint.
If you want to control your own schedule, I absolutely love my daughter and I'm pretty go with the flow, so it works. But if you want full control of your schedule, don't have kids.
Oh, good thing I don't have any.
All right, with that, we're going to transition into our draft grades for the year. So in this segment, guys, we're going to do our top 2 best drafted teams each, and then our worst drafted team as well.
And for those of you who are Minnesota sports fan and are going, what about the Vikings? What about the Vikings draft grade? I haven't made a decision yet. I need some more time. So I figured we would cover that next week. I'm going to try to get in touch with Arif, see if he can come on, maybe give me some insight, give us a little bit of knowledge. Mike might give you his this week. I am not. I'm not sure yet. I haven't had the time to process what we did in the draft because I'm so focused on what's going on everywhere else in the NFL. Is that fair?
Sure.
Can you guys just give me some time, please?
He needs to hear others' opinions.
I've heard all the opinions. I just want to be able to formulate my own without the media putting it on cycle 48 hours a day. But draft grade season is something that is very important to a lot of people who follow sports because they want to know what their team is going to look like for the upcoming year. So, like Mike said, 2 of your best grades and then 1 of your worst grades, and I will let you start with who aced the draft or who do you think did best, Mike?
So because I care about our producer in the back and I understand the difficulty of his job, Gabe, whichever team you would like to display first with the media is the one that I will roll with first. I'm adaptable, man.
I know you mean well.
Is it easier for me to choose?
Let me just, hang on. How about this? How about you cover for me for a second?
All right. So
I got crossed up now.
No worries. So the first one that I am going to go with is a team that hopefully this is the first of one of many good drafts that they have. Mm-hmm. They're a bottom seller team that needs a lot of talent and an infusion of youth to basically be competitive in their division. They're still probably going to be 4th in their division this year.
Oh, I think we have the same team.
It's the New York Jets.
That's who I have. Hey, Gabe, if you have the New York Jets graphic for either one of us, that will work.
The fact that they went and got Sauce at 4.
Love it.
who I think is one of the best corners in this draft, if not the best corner in this draft, if not the past 5 drafts.
Hey, he's a follow me guy for whoever the other team's best receiver is for the next 6 years.
And he's playing under a head coach, in my opinion, who's very, very, very talented defensively and can put Sauce in positions to be successful. Sauce will not need the development of normal NFL corners. I think he'll be able to step on the field day one and basically lock down a majority of ones across the league.
You know who I think, you know who his game reminds me of now that I've kind of like had some time to sit with it a little bit? Do you remember when Rhodes came into the league?
Yep.
He reminds me of a more physically talented Rhodes. Like,
I think he's a lot smarter too.
Yeah, like
I get that vibe.
I think he's just like if Rhodes was 1.0, Sauce Gardner is the next evolution of that long shutdown. I'm on your best guy. You're not getting anything off of me style corner. Now, is he going to have learning curves? Like, is he probably going to get?
Is he going to bite on a double move?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is he going to get hemmed up by Jamar Chase or JJ, or is he going to get torn up by Tyreek because that's the division he's in one game this season? Yeah, probably. But in the years to come, you've got a guy who is a set it and forget it corner every week. Stick him on your best receiver and play it out because that's how he's going to learn.
And then with their second first round pick, they take Garrett Wilson, the receiver.
I like that
from
too.
Ohio State. You give your young quarterback another weapon. You have a developing offensive line, is what I'll say. Could have gone offensive line here, but still giving your young quarterback a weapon of that caliber can't be a bad thing.
Nope, not at all.
He can make things happen after the catch. He's versatile. He does have a little bit of like a Debo versatility style.
Yep.
So I'm interested to see how they use him. Now with their third pick, they actually traded back into the first round,
which was the wise move because they saw value here. And they said, you know what? We've got an opportunity to really get everything put together.
Wait. So you're telling me they picked 3 times before the Vikings picked once? I thought the Vikings traded back because there was no value in the
first
first
round. What I thought too.
Yeah, I'll get to that later. So with the third pick, they take Jermaine Johnson II, the defensive end edge rusher.
Where's he from?
Linebacker from Florida State.
Oh, no, before that.
Indianapolis Community College?
No, before that.
He graduated from Eden Prairie High School, hometown kid.
Let's go, Minnesota boy. Get you a payday.
And honestly, the way I looked at the edge rushers in this class, I think Jermaine Johnson's right up there with Aiden Hutchinson, with Kayvon Thibodeau. Aiden Hutchinson and Kayvon Thibodeau may have more impressive plays from time to time, but they disappear in games.
And
Jermaine Johnson will continually gain pressure on that quarterback and be in the backfield. Does he always get there? Maybe not. But he is going to be a nuisance, and this was a great pick by the New York Jets.
You want to talk about a guy that when you say pure pass rusher has so many tools in his bag already to be a nuisance for other quarterbacks. That is who you got. He will develop into being a better run stopper. He will develop a higher football IQ. Those are things you can teach. But we've seen it time and time again. Some of these edge rushers get drafted. And the tools that you get sometimes are the tools that you're stuck with. Like you may be able to add 1 or 2, but you can't really find a
Kanechi Udeze is like a perfect example of who was like decent and never developed because of his skill set.
And it's difficult. Like when we got Daniil, everybody knew that guy's a pure pass rusher and he's developed the rest of his game. Right. That's who the Jets got. And once again, defensive-minded head coach is going to put him in all of the right positions. I think you just put him all season long over whichever tackle is the weakest on passing downs, and you say, go get the quarterback. And that makes you, that group makes them in my opinion, as of right now, makes them 2 to 3 games better than they were last year. What is your grade for the Jets?
It's an absolute A. I agree with you with the 2 to 3 games gained as far as wins. Unfortunately, that division is tough. You're still in 4th place, which is almost a good thing because you're going to have a really high draft pick again in a better draft class, in my opinion. You can load up even more.
Yeah.
Honestly, guys, really quick, the way I look at drafts, very, very top heavy. I'm sorry, but the talent in the first round is not the same as the talent in the 6th round. There are some Tom Brady's out there. Yes, there are going to be some George Kittles that you can get in the 5th round. That is the exception and not the rule.
Preach.
So with that, I do look at first and second rounds. It's pretty much exclusively as I'm giving out my draft grades,
Same.
especially this early without the development of 3, 4, or 5 years of a player in the NFL.
Correct.
On top of the great first round that the Jets had, I thought they were picking the second round Breece Hall.
Oh my God.
Was again a great pick. They get a great running back that has playmaking ability. He has speed. He has power. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Another piece to surround Zach Wilson with.
I agree. So, and I think the reason they didn't go offensive line and they went weaponry is because at BYU, you saw a lot of Zach Wilson's mobility,
right?
His ability to move around and escape.
You saw it in the NFL a little bit last year. He just didn't have the weapons.
So he's a little bit of a wizard, right? So allowing him to buy time in a hectic pocket is going to help his development, and having weapons that'll then stress the coverages and different things like that, or now having to worry about a home run hitter like Breece Hall. I honestly, and I do draft grades. I think about this. I read this stuff year in and year out. Obviously, we haven't had the show. I don't ever look at like A+. I don't think that's
A+ is not a grade in school. It's not a grade with draft grades.
But guess what? If there was an A+ grade to give in this draft, if I had to give one to somebody, I'm giving it to the Jets because they nailed it this year.
Right.
Agreed. The best draft,
yes,
the best draft that
did.
Douglas has had in his entire tenure with the Jets.
Agreed.
Without a doubt. So I guess that takes care of my best draft grade as well. We kind of had the same team here. But Mike, who was your second best team?
Yeah, man. Again, it's very top heavy. If Gabe wants to roll the graphic for me.
Is it that one right there?
No.
Did you have the Lions? Was it the Lions?
May or may not have.
Someone sent me that.
Did I send you the wrong one?
Try this one.
Nope, that's the one we just had.
Oh, this is the best draft. Ta-da!
Nope.
No.
Nope. You're
All right,
ahead of yourself.
No worries. Gabe, I
That
apologize.
was a
I sent
joke.
you the wrong
No,
image.
but I don't know which one.
No worries. It was the Detroit Lions.
The Motor City Kitties.
Yeah. To go edge with Aiden Hutchinson with the second pick, bring home the hometown kid, get pressure. Gabe, you can actually take that one down. That's okay. That's from I must have clicked on the wrong image and sent it
Oh
to
my
you.
God,
That's
it's
from a couple-
2020.
yeah, it's from a couple years ago.
I just saw it now.
So Aiden Hutchinson with the second pick, I thought they absolutely fleeced the Vikings with that pick to move back up.
Oh,
and I'll talk to you about that later. But moving back up and getting Jameson Williams, another weapon. I was talking to a buddy of mine who's actually a Lions fan, believe it or not, last night.
You know people that are Lions?
I know one.
They exist?
I actually know two. And he was telling me,
What kind of people do you hang out with?
good people.
Are you sure?
You know how hard it is to be a Lions fan?
You know how hard it is to be a Minnesota, but who roots for the? It's like rooting.
It's like rooting for the Browns. It's hard.
Eeyore.
Yeah. Hey. They fleece the Vikings, move back up into the first round, take Jameson Williams. They have a decent offensive line. They really do. So to add weaponry, Jared Goff is not the answer. I think everybody in Detroit knows that.
Yeah.
There was no quarterback to take that was really going to be able to get the keys to the kingdom now. I'll get to that later as well.
Sleeper spot for Baker.
He could go there. But the weapons that they added, Josh Pascal early in the second, as well as another edge. The Lions, yes, they only won a few games last year.
Yeah.
They could go 10-7. I wouldn't be too shocked if I'm being completely honest. I don't think Green Bay is going to be that good this year.
Listen, the NFC,
Chicago is atrocious.
the entire NFC North
Is up for grabs.
based on the way that they drafted and the way that they handled free agency. The Vikings probably held water. Everybody else took a minimum of 2 steps back.
Yeah.
Like the Bears, and I have some thoughts on them, but you're right. You're not far off. I think the Lions will impress a lot of teams.
If the Lions go 9-8, would you be shocked?
I think they'll still be under 500. But I think 8-9 with the rest of the division being at 8 or 9, maybe 10 wins. That is a massive improvement over who they were last year.
It is.
What was your grade for them?
I'm going to grade it as a B+.
Nice. Okay.
I'm still not sold on Hutchinson. Just like I'm not sold
Same.
on Thibodeau or, these edge rushers of this class are I'm skeptical.
The Houdinis of the pass rushing world.
Yeah, I'm skeptical because, like I said, they do have tremendous upside.
Yeah.
Absolutely tremendous upside. But they will disappear when you need them. It'll be 3rd and 7, Lions fans. You'll be up by 4. The other team will have the ball. You need Hutchinson to get a sack, and he'll get just pancaked. Like, that's what's going to happen. When you need him, he disappears.
Yeah.
But he'll make that great play in the middle of the second quarter on second 11 that you didn't need at all.
So he's another Stat Padford.
He's Kirk Cousins that plays edge.
Oh, nice. You like that. Bowls of Ranch.
Bowls of Ranch.
Bowls of Ranch.
You can throw Cat in that conversation now, too.
So, you know who I had as the second best draft? And this killed me.
Who's that?
I hate this team.
Don't say it.
I hate them so much.
Don't.
It drives me crazy.
Don't.
But dilly, what a good draft for Philly.
Okay. Well, at least you went dark green.
Yeah, instead of neon green, trust me, they did not have a good draft. We talked about that. But hey, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be in contention to win their division this year.
Aren't they always? It's absolutely atrocious division.
It's a bad division
with terrible teams and terrible fans.
It's a bad division, but look at how those teams are set up and look at what they got. So they go out and they get Jordan Davis. Well, now you've neutralized a $90 million running back in Ezekiel Elliott. It's for Carson Wentz, and Saquon. And for Carson Wentz, that's going to be a problem. You got Nakobe Dean to follow that. Well, I like the chemistry there as plug and play starters on day one, because guess who knows better than anybody how to play behind a guy like Jordan Davis? Nakobe Dean.
Probably the guy who's been playing behind him for like 3 years.
And they were a force to be reckoned with at Georgia. I love that. And I know he wasn't part of who they drafted, but for them to get A.J. Brown to be a run blocker on the edge for Miles Sanders, or on the edge for Jalen Hurts, and then to be a part of that short passing, run after the catch RPO system that they're going to need on offense, step forward, step forward, step forward. They got a replacement for Kelsey at center in the years to come, a guy you could probably play at guard this year to get him some experience. And then the rest of their draft was slightly above average. A strong B bordering on B+ grade for Philly, who, once again,
B+ with the trade.
B+ with the trade. Who, another team that I look at and I go, they may have picked up 2.5 wins with their draft.
Yeah, I'm not sold on the Hurts train, though, to be honest.
I'm not either, but they have I think what's important here, I had it in my notes, I don't want to miss out on this. They've identified the culture of their team. They're going to be big, they're going to be physical, they're going to run the ball at you, and they're going to not let you run the ball. They're going to play a possession-style, war of attrition football game. And when everybody's wore out, Hurts might flick one over the top to A.J. Brown deep, and you'll get the big play that you need. But they're going to be a chunk team.
See, and I think that works in the NFC East.
Yes.
But try to play the Buffalo Bills that style. Try to play Kansas City that style. Try to play Tampa Bay that style. Try to play Los Angeles that style.
True.
Try to play Minnesota that style.
True.
Like, you might win your division, but you're the shiniest turd. That's all you are.
Here's my question. Right now, roster for roster, can they beat Dallas if they meet in the playoffs?
I think it depends on if it's Philly. If it's in Philly,
it would be in
or
Dallas, I would assume.
No.
I don't think so either, but I think it's closer than people would like to admit at this point.
Yeah.
I really, really do.
I wish we could just take the NFC East
and move it out of the NFL.
Put it in a garbage can. Light it on fire.
You can't do that to who's the guy that's the head coach of the Giants now?
Dable.
Yeah, you can't do that to Dabes. Come on, man.
I
He
don't
doesn't deserve that.
Go back to Buffalo.
Or come to sorry.
Yeah, there you go. Do you want me to go worst drafted team first?
Yeah, so from the exquisitely drafted to the atrociously drafted, time for you to be the villain, I think.
Yeah, my worst drafted team is by far the Minnesota Vikings.
I would agree.
And here's why. Wait, you would agree. So you have made up your decision. Okay.
I haven't come up with a grade, and I got to do a little bit more digging on these early picks.
The reason that we had the worst draft out of the entire NFL, we don't know what we're doing.
We don't have an identity.
We don't know what we're doing.
We don't.
Like in reports, Kwesi, Kevin O'Connell, Kirk have all come out and said that we are trying to be a Super Bowl contender this year. Sure. Okay, I'll believe you. And then draft night comes along. You have a 12th pick. Lots of talent on the board.
An abnormal amount of talent still on the board at 12.
Add that talent to what you think should be a Super Bowl contending team. if not even trade up, because you do have pieces in your franchise right now that you can trade away.
Oh, yeah.
That would be addition by subtraction.
Yep.
Trade up and get Sauce.
Trade up and get Stingley.
Trade up and get Stingley. But to trade out, no, it's like a triple whammy. To trade out of 12 for the value that you got was atrocious.
Yep.
You shouldn't have had to give up the 3rd round pick or 2nd round pick. I apologize. To trade out and give that value to a division rival who's only getting better was even worse. And then to do it again with Green Bay. Like, I think Kwesi might be a spy for the Chicago Bears.
And you know what?
And he's just giving these tools and these weapons to other teams in the division and just screwing the Vikings. Because this draft showed that we're building for the future
while trying to win a Super Bowl.
While trying to win a Super Bowl today. You cannot do both. So you know what it's going to be? It's going to be 8-9, 9-8, mediocrity, the 17th pick, and we're going around again. Trash. Absolute garbage. I'm not like the players that we brought in may be good. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it does not fit the culture and what this team is doing. If you're trying to win a Super Bowl now, you use the 12th pick on a Kyle Hamilton. Or at 32, if you're trying to build for the future, go get your quarterback for the future in Malik Willis. I don't care that he dropped to the 3rd round.
Yeah. All right, you're going to make me do it. You're going to make me do it. I said this earlier this week. I want to put this into context because you talked about the trades, right? The Lions got a wide receiver, a pretty damn good one when healthy.
Oh, but they would have traded at 13. Let that team worry about it.
Yep. The Packers in the 2nd round, they got a wide receiver and one that I will tell you I'm okay with. Like the Packers wound up trading back in and getting a wide receiver that they needed, right? You can't do that when you don't have corners. I know you got Booth, but there were better options available to you trading up, moving forward.
Well, McDuffie was still there too at 12.
You can't give the teams that you are going to square off against a weapon that you can't cover down on. Minus.
Yep.
You never draft this high. And let's keep in mind, you want to date this all the way back organizationally for bad decisions. We lose that last game of the season like we fucking should have. We drafted at 6, not 12.
Right.
So this whole transition period, you could have made the buck stop. You could have made an impact at 12, said this is new. This is who we are now. We're not putting up with the same shit. And you're giving me PTSD because I feel like I'm doing the same thing I did on draft night. But you do that, and it's like you said, it's a continuation of the same style of leadership that put you in the position that made you have to get new leadership in the first place. I'm not saying that I'm out on the players. I'm not saying that I'm immediately out on Kwesi or I'm immediately out on Kevin O'Connell.
But we've seen this before.
But we have seen this before as a fan base, and it didn't work. And 2, you had the opportunity to do something, even though it may not have been right in your mind value-wise as a GM or as a head coach, but to give your fans who have been through the ringer for the last 4 years under Spielman and Zimmer, dealing with Kirk and all of the other things, to give them some hope to say, hey, we're changing course at least right now to do something that everybody can be okay with, and it didn't happen. So the team that I have, I think, was worse than the Vikings because I do like some of the players that they got, but I'm not far off on saying that we had an atrocious draft.
Well, and to draft Brian Asamoah, it's like, okay, so he literally won't see the field for 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
So we're building for the future, yet trying to be competitive with, like, this draft by the Minnesota Vikings is banking completely on the idea that Mike Zimmer and the former coaching staff was absolutely inept.
Yeah.
Because we didn't bring anybody in that's really, in my opinion, going to make a day one impact. Maybe Booth gets some playing time. Like, I don't see the safety from Georgia actually playing a whole lot because I did think Bynum played well in that role last year.
Really well.
I don't know what the plan is, and that's what's concerning. And I don't know if they know what the plan is, and that's really concerning.
And if that was the case, right, and we talked about it on draft night, if you didn't truly know, if you're not quite sure because you haven't seen your team on the field, if you're not quite sure because you don't know what you have contract-wise for the first year, as fans, punting this draft to accumulate picks for the following year in a massive amount of picks for next year, be Philly, be New York, be one of these teams with 3-4 picks in the first round next year, by trading away all of your value this year so you can evaluate the roster that you have and make rock solid, educated decisions in 2023. You can come to the podium and tell me that, and I can buckle in for the season and be like, I understand.
Right. Here's the plan. The
doing
plan is
this does not give me that.
clear.
So you're right. I struggle with, I said it then, I will say it again now. Part of me feels like Kwesi, the Wall Street guy, tried to be too Wall Street in this draft and got in way over his head thinking about value.
I don't think they knew who they were going to take at 12.
I don't
fell
either.
to them at 12, to be honest, and the Lions called.
I think they panicked.
Yeah. I think if you guys have ever seen the movie Draft Day, Kwesi was the Jaguars GM in Draft Day going, what's going on? Tell me what's happening. And he goes, I can help you. I can make you a trade. And Kwesi goes, okay, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, help me out here. Help me out. They got on the podium and they didn't have specifics for the guy that they picked. I listened very closely to the words that came out of the mouth of both Kwesi and KOC. Great, talented, fast, physical player. We all already knew that.
Can't you say that about almost every player drafted in the first round?
Correct. How are you going to use them? Are you going to, convert the defense into a more, Arif Hassan asked this, are you going to convert the defense into a more, three safety heavy look? Well, that's something that we're going to have to evaluate and look at. We're going to make sure that we put our players in the best positions possible. Oh, what does this do to Cameron Bynum, who played really well and looked like he earned a spot, and more clock time, next year. Well, that's something that we're going to have to look at. There's a lot of unique, looks that we're going to be able to give. No specifics. Every other team came out and said, we got Jordan Davis. This is a guy that's going to chew up 2 blockers in the middle of the offensive line. It's going to make it really hard for the other team to run the football. That's something that we needed as a team. They all came out with specifics. We did not.
Right.
Very frustrating.
So who is your worst drafted team?
Chicago Bears.
Okay.
For
the 2 new GMs in the NFC North did not do well.
Well, surprising, right? Name one player that the Chicago Bears drafted.
I have no idea.
Good. Me either. When you're talking about a team that apparently just found their franchise quarterback, you would think that they would be doing, especially under new leadership, everything in their power to back him up, to supply him with receivers and offensive line weapons and things that he didn't have in year 1, which were incredibly evident that he needed to be more successful, and they didn't get any of it.
So they got the other corner from Washington. I think their first pick was in the second round 39. So they got the corner opposite McDuffie.
Yep.
A safety from Penn State. Yeah, they got nobody. Wow.
D+, bordering on C- is where I had the Bears. They're like, they are the only reason why I think the only reason why I did not go with the Vikings here, because they've got a guy that they're not paying yet. And the formula in the NFL to win early is what? Get a quarterback you don't have to pay and surround him with an abnormal amount of talent.
Right.
And they didn't do that in this draft, and they didn't do that in free agency. They might only win 4 games this year.
Yeah, man, their draft was horrible.
Bad. So bad.
They picked a punter. They drafted a punter.
Very disappointed in the Chicago Bears front office.
Are you
now
disappointed
I understand,
or are you happy?
As a football fan in general who enjoys good football, who believes that all ships rise on high tide, like it's always better when the competition is better, because then you have to constantly play to the water line, right? Look at what's going on in the AFC West. This was bad for the entire division, because now there are 3 teams in the division that get 2 cupcake games for the rest of for next season. The Bears were not ready for this. And I feel really I don't believe in Justin Fields because I don't believe in Ohio State quarterbacks, but I feel very, very bad for him and what he's going to have to go through this year.
Or Justin Fields.
So
you're just going to have to cry about it in your mansion there, bud.
Yeah. In Arlington in the years to come, because they're probably moving out of Chicago because of stuff like this.
So let us know what you thought about the NFL draft. If there's any teams that we didn't talk about, What was your draft grade for the Minnesota Vikings if you're a Vikings fan?
Ugh, that should be a full comment section.
Well, I mean, we actually got some. What I've been seeing is, we've actually gotten some pretty decent value, and the Lions were going to take a receiver anyway. So why not just no? If you're going to trade with a division rival, you fleece them, or they don't get the pick. Period.
Yep.
Like, I'm sorry. Stop making excuses for the Vikings.
Did you guys actually hear from, like we were saying, we're going to make a point to listen to the local media about it. Any highlights from that you care to share?
Oh, PA got on the mic on Friday morning and just stroked off the front office with their pick. It was absurd to listen to.
That's actually shocking to me that go that far.
Absurd. He flies around. Everybody was putting out highlights of how hard he hits, and they were talking about how all the other stars on that Georgia defense said, when they interviewed him, talked about if there was one guy that they could bring with them, that the guy that we got was that guy, and that's great for our locker room. And I don't want to hear that. I want to know how that guy's going to help win football games. Like I said, I am not against the pick. The guy could very well turn out to be a Hall of Fame player. But the Vikings are in a very specific spot in the NFL right now. And if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. And we very evidently, throughout the course of that draft, moved backward and let everybody else pass us up.
And also, any way you slice it, was there any threat that he was being taken?
No.
Right. That's to me the real point here.
Like, in all honesty, could you have traded out of the first round entirely and gotten, instead of having a 32 and a 34, and had 33, 34 and another second round pick and gone Willis Booth and somebody else? Or this guy Booth and somebody else and not had to pay him first round money? Yeah, this was a bad move.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all.
This show, by the way, is not here to trash the Vikings. We are Vikings fans. We are not trashing the players. We love and appreciate the players and understand the hard work that they have to put in.
But we will trash the front office.
But listen, we got to hold some people accountable, because the rest of the media here in Minnesota very evidently is not going to. That's the boat that we ride.
Well, I'm going to say that it was the best moment of your show ever. So it was very fun showing that clip to people all week. So
it was.
So I say, well done, guys.
Thanks. We appreciate it. Honest.
Thank you to the Vikings.
That is, guess what? That's justification of everything that you kids at home. Go ahead and look at our Facebook page. Justification for everything your parents tell you as a kid. Honesty's the best policy.
That's right.
That was the most honest moment I've ever had on camera.
Right. So with that, we're going to transition into our last segment of the day. Just a few minutes left, so we're going to go quick hot corner. So our first segment is Trevor Bauer's 2-year ban.
Yeah, MLB finally puts the hammer down on Trevor Bauer after about a year of, we're going to suspend you. We're going to suspend you. You should be suspended. I don't want to be suspended. I'm not suspending anybody. The back and forth has been mind-numbing. And now we get a 600 some odd game ban.
324.
324 game ban for Trevor Bauer.
2 full seasons.
Which is, 2 full seasons over him violating the domestic abuse policies of the MLB. My thoughts on it are this. I don't understand the length of it unless the MLB is playing it a very specific way, which is Trevor Bauer has said from the beginning, no matter what suspension you hand out, I'm going to appeal it. Much like in the NFL, when they hand out an 8-game suspension, they appeal it. They probably wind up with 4 to 6, right? Is this them handing out an abnormally long ban for something that happened outside of baseball, knowing he's going to appeal this, and them still getting their way with him not being allowed to be around baseball for an entire year or year and a half? That's the only way that I see a suspension of this length making sense.
Really quick, for those who may not be up to speed, do you want to run through why he's being suspended?
Go ahead. I'm not super clear on it. I know, because guess what? It's a year old already before we're actually getting any real suspension. But I read it when it first came out. I knew all the details then.
I think I know it okay if
go ahead.
If Mike doesn't.
No, go ahead, because I know what rules he violated, but I don't know the specifics of what happened, if that makes sense.
Okay. I actually think then we'll complement each other well, so maybe we can all power through this. But basically, he had a relationship with a woman that was consensual at a point. There are text messages. And they engaged in very rough sexual practices, we'll say. And basically, and I mean extremely rough, punching, choking, but stuff that leaves marks. And at a certain point, they had a few trysts, I guess. And early on, she was texting back, "I love it when you did those specific things." And then after the last one, and I guess this stuff is too sensitive for me to be even fuzzy on, maybe, but essentially, she liked it, and then that was too far. She threatened for money, that she would have gone away if he would have settled out of court. He declined. He had all the text messages. So did she. And then it was a he said, she said, and he's basically being suspended. So he was found innocent. Like they went to court. They actually tried it out, and she lost. And I don't remember the main point that she lost, but it was something that did make her look bad. Like where it did look, because I wasn't sure where. I read a lot about this, even though it doesn't sound like it right now. And I remember having the impression that it's like, he's probably, not looking good here. Even if he's innocent or partially innocent, he's not a good guy, was kind of my takeaway. Not to make that judgment, but that was just my feeling. And apparently in court, some stuff came out that sort of vindicated him. So to me, I was shocked when I saw he got suspended for this long. But there are more accusations out there now. But they're not their accusations, right? So it's like they're
Exactly.
not. Yeah.
Exactly. Mike, what do you know that we don't know?
Just that the MLB has, policies in place very similar to the NFL that you can be found not guilty in a court of law and you still have violated those policies.
Yeah, because they're trying to protect the brand. It's a business.
You're
I
not
understand
representing
that.
the brand, right?
Yep.
Right. So I think that even with the stuff that he did with her consent almost doesn't follow that brand in and of itself. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Major League Baseball is against rough sex, you're saying?
I mean, and it's a family-friendly thing, right? So, like the fact that has now become more mainstream media of what happened. I think the MLB is trying to backpedal and get away from this.
Gabe's gonna hate me for this because I know that the example that I'm about to bring up is something that he stands firmly against. I'm gonna categorize this a little bit with the Adrian Peterson situation. I have stood on this ground. I will die on this hill. You could do anything that you want at home. You have a day job. Unless you hurt or affect your workplace, like on premises, they're probably not going to care.
If I hurt the workplace's bottom line, even off premises, though, does that not still apply?
I would say no. Because listen. Yes, these guys are role models, right? You sign up for that when you pursue this because you're going to be on national television, so on and so forth. But in a society these days that everything is so public, nobody needs to be seen as perfect. There's always going to be a villain. Somebody is always going to make a mistake. Somebody is going to have a different practice. Somebody is going to have a different viewpoint that you don't agree with, right? We've seen that over the last 4 years, especially with COVID going on. Political, demographic, whether it be sexual, whether it be on any platform, there's going to be I agree, I think this, I think that. There's going to be disagreement planted in the middle, right? We have to stop holding the actions of these athletes outside of the game that they play, which is the reason that they're there. A lot of them, right? A lot of them some of them do want to come to work and be role models. Some of them want to come get paid and go the fuck home and do whatever the hell it is that they want. Now, am I sitting here advocating for beating children or women or killing dogs or any of that? No. But if you are proven innocent in a court of law, your job should not be able to then come in and go, hey, we don't want you around. I'm sorry. I disagree with this to the utmost.
Is it his right to play baseball?
Exactly. That's exactly where I was going to go
football?
with it. Is it's a privilege and not a right.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the responsibility, if not obligation, to hold up their brand. And baseball has been slipping as a brand throughout our entire lifetime. NFL is probably America's game now.
Yes.
And they feel that. They feel their games are too long. And like to not have
Tyreek Hill broke his kid's arm and just got the largest wide receiver deal in NFL history.
He broke his kid's arm.
Yes.
Is that
I'm
right,
surprised
though?
You're not his biggest fan then.
But, like, so he should have been suspended.
Was he? No.
2 different leagues.
Wow.
2 different leagues.
I mean, Adrian Peterson committed a crime.
Yeah.
He admitted to committing a crime.
Yep.
That's not just, nothing.
But here's the thing.
And like you said, this won't be a 2-year ban.
No, he'll
No.
appeal it. It'll get back. It'll get banned down to a year. He'll get some time away from the sport where it's not in the spotlight, and he'll come back and he'll pitch again at an outrageous, probably $15 million per year salary. What I can't stand is and especially with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing going on right now, I don't want to, spin off and get into that. But this defiles the reputations of these individuals because the sports of which they are fans of get told that they are guilty when court of law says that they're not. It ruins their reputation. It affects their personal life, their ability to get jobs outside of baseball afterwards. And it just doesn't seem fair to me to let one mistake, to let one incident become the antithesis of what the rest of your life then has to be.
I guess the one point that I would make is the court didn't necessarily say that, like in the articles that I've read about this, it didn't necessarily say that he was not guilty. It said that there was not enough evidence to prove
It's the same thing.
guilt.
It's the same thing with
This is what I would say too about the Bauer thing, because even though I do feel differently about the Adrian Peterson thing, obviously, I think he's a total scumbag piece of garbage. But this one, I believe he's being punished because of his stance for the major league. And that's bullshit. We're also talking about, I guess, as far as the courts are concerned, consenting adults. So he was trying. So I do agree with you on this one for sure. I think he's getting railroaded as of now.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, and then, yeah, if you guys wanted to lighten the mood, I've been thinking back here and it's just, I don't know.
We've got 2 heavy topics, and then we'll lighten the mood.
Yeah.
We'll lighten
Yep,
the mood at the
perfect.
very end.
Perfect. Let's
So,
do that.
Then we can let us know what you guys think on Trevor Bauer. I know I'm probably going to get a lot of heat. Don't kill me for it. I'm just being as honest with you guys as I can. But then news broke shortly after the Trevor Bauer news. DeAndre Hopkins, 6-game suspension with the Arizona Cardinals for performance-enhancing drugs. Mike, opinion on the best receiver in the NFL?
I mean, to be honest, there's no excuse.
There is not one.
If I'm being completely honest, there's absolutely no excuse. You're a multimillionaire. You have chefs and diets and specific things that you put into your body. Your body is your moneymaker. There's absolutely no excuse.
I agree.
Yeah, that's all I have to say. See you week 7. That's it.
You guys are that for me. You're okay with Adrian Peterson child?
No, I'm not okay
But now
with
this,
it.
okay,
I'm not
I
okay
know,
with
okay.
it.
But still, though, like to me, I read this and I go, I don't know. You know more about nutrition than I do and all that stuff.
I mean,
know nothing
Gabe,
about
I'll say
nutrition.
this. In college football,
Mhm.
you're given a list of banned substances.
In the NFL,
You're made
given
very here. I will say this in a very specific way. You're made very aware of when you could possibly be tested, and seniors / captains on my team specifically made it very clear on how to avoid testing positive for
Really?
certain things.
Wow.
Pat McAfee has come out on the show.
If
and been-
that's Division III college football,
Mhm.
there's no excuse, especially being a high-level NFL player that makes literally
Millions
$20 million a
millions
year.
and millions.
Mm.
There's, I'm sorry,
Right.
none.
Okay. It's not, and I suppose they don't eat, or they don't take GNC type supplements or something.
He's not
to be
going to
mixed
GNC
in.
and buying
Right.
protein
No.
for $60.
Right.
No,
No.
it's specific, more probably meals specific, like macros and
And listen, we have to get over as a society. We need to get over this whole believing I didn't know. Bullshit.
Really? Okay.
And if
Bull-
you didn't know, it's on you
bull-
for not knowing,
bull.
to be honest.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Listen, LeBron James spends $1 million a year on his body. We have gotten to a point in human development where you can go get your blood tested and understand what you eat and how it affects your performance on the field, how much sleep that you get, how much free time or relaxation, how much pre-work and post-work your body needs in rehabilitation and prehabilitation to be at the top of your game. And you're going to sit back and tell me on a list that every time it gets updated, the NFL sends out to players and goes, here's the new banned substance list, that you didn't know when you took something that was on that list, or when there was a supplement or a subset that was on that list, you ingested. No, you knew, and now you're just doing, because all of these players are brands. They're doing their best to stay innocent because, and I will kind of tie this back to the other thing. If they admit that they're guilty, look at the railroading that the media then does to these players for the activities that they do outside of the game. Like, in to kind of double down on what Mike said with the whole there's a way to pass these tests thing with marijuana. The NFL tests in a very specific window before the season, and if you pass, you don't get tested again. If you pop, you get put into a catalog of players that is pretty much getting tested whenever, however, wherever the NFL wants to test you. It's not a difficult thing to do. Just and admit it. When you're wrong, right? We're human. Some people make mistakes. You wouldn't be taking it anyways if you weren't trying to get a competitive edge. That's why it's called performance enhancing drugs.
Right. And actually the concerning thing to me is the fact that in Division III football, you can get tested. So long story short, you can get randomly tested throughout the season, but unless you're a great team like top 25, you probably won't.
Mm-hmm.
So I never had to worry about that because we would win our division, but our conference was like second worst in the nation.
Because you were a quarterback. I'm sorry, I should not have done that to
So
you.
so they didn't worry about us until we made the postseason. And literally after your first postseason game, they take 3 or 4 guys from each team and test you. You get those results back. That's a Saturday game. You get those results like Tuesday or Wednesday because one of those 2 teams is playing the next Saturday.
Yeah.
And if they pop, you have to take them out or forfeit the last game and, tell the other team it's a long process. What's concerning to me is that he tested in November of last year.
And the NFL
tested positive and played the remainder of the season. When did we get these results? You can't realistically tell me that they just came out now. I don't believe you.
Not even close.
So NFL up to some shady shit keeping D-Hop on the field for the rest of the season, you think?
It's almost like the COVID testing that got dropped during the playoffs. They're doing what's best for television at the time, right? NFL's a business, folks. Sorry, there are going to be things that they do that you don't agree with.
Yep. So let us know what you guys think about the D-Hop 6-game suspension. Do you think he's innocent?
No. Oh, sorry, you weren't asking me.
I wasn't asking you.
All right, fantastic. Let us know in the comments. We'll get back to you either here live on the show, not a whole lot of time left, or in the comment section afterwards. We love hearing from you. Last but not least, the transfer portal trouble. Have you been hearing about this?
I mean, I knew it was going to be trouble when I heard about the transfer portal, if I'm being completely honest, but go ahead.
Did you hear about the trouble that is now coming with the NIL deals attached to the transfer portal?
I mean, I'm sure I can put the 2 and 2 together pretty quickly.
Gabe, do you have that first graphic for me? Either one of them is fine on the college players.
Which one specifically? I guess
There's 2 tweets that I sent you. Both of them have college.
I've got the player.
players.
Yeah, yep.
Either one of them is fine.
Yep. Okay, here we go.
So for years now, we have been hearing, or for the last year, we've been hearing with the introduction of the transfer portal, which has created free agency, and then the introduction of the NIL for the college athletes. Now, once again, I'm going to sit here and tell you, I think everybody deserves to be paid, right? There's no reason why the NCAA should be making all of the money off of these athletes. However, NIL was introduced to kind of help level the playing field, was it not?
Correct.
It has only now we are only now seeing that it is going to further tip the scales to the power schools with money and with boosters because of incidences like this. First example, Texas star wide receiver Xavier Worthy received a 7-figure deal, or was offered a 7-figure NIL deal from another Power 5 school to enter the transfer portal and join their program, per 24/7 Sports on Twitter. Worthy decided to stay with Texas. First of all, props to that kid for sticking with the horse that got him there. And when he hits the draft, he should be the number 1 receiver without question, because you want to talk about a guy who's going to be loyal to his team. That is a guy who is going to be loyal to his team. Okay. But we've been hearing now for a year that this was the uncaged, coaches talking about the uncaged beast, and college is never going to be the same, and we're in for a world of hurt. And there are some things coming that people aren't going to like. This is a pro sport now. Like it or not. This is no different from the NFL. When you have a booster that knows a guy or has a brother that is the owner of Geico that says, hey man, I really want to get this wide receiver. It'd be great for the school. And it's going to be a better investment for your booster money. Can you filter another $600,000 into this kid's checking account, if we get him into the transfer portal and he comes to our program, it's a pro sport. That is free agency. Even worse than that, it's tampering if that kid is committed to that program.
Right. And I think that that's the next rule that we see is that NIL offers can only be offered from the school that they're currently attending. I think that's going to be the next rule that drops
And
because this is super sketchy.
And we have another one. Gabe, do you have the other one?
Yep. Here we go.
I hear him clicking away in the back. All right. So here's the other one. According to Colin Cowherd, the NIL bidding war for Jordan Addison is now at $3 million. That was the wide receiver that helped lead Pitt. There has still been no official report that he is in the transfer portal, but our very own @JackMacCFB on Twitter reported on Saturday that he submitted his papers to Pitt on Friday morning. By the way, this was to go play with none other than USC and Lincoln Riley. Now, if you remember correctly, they paid Reggie Bush and they took away his Heisman and they told him that they couldn't compete in bowl games for years. About 5 to 10 years later, they're doing this. This is exactly what they got punished for before.
Yeah, if you're Reggie Bush, you're pissed.
I'm livid. Give me back my house. Give me back my Heisman. Give me back my money is what I would be saying. This is going to turn college football upside down. Because unless you've got the guys backing you, like the boosters with the connections backing you, your school all of a sudden is going to become irrelevant. It's going to become a one-and-done system in low-level D1 schools before guys get picked up by these major schools. And you're not going to have any of these high school seniors that are going to be able to actually get, spots at Bama, Clemson, Pitt, LSU, USC. Because guess what? Their entire roster is going to be guys that are getting paid millions of dollars to be there.
Right. I think 2 rules that would fix this problem. Put a cap on the NIL number per player.
It's got to be $1 million max.
Yep. And no NIL offers from other schools. It has to be from your current school.
What?
And you can't open up, like, if you're in the transfer portal, you can receive absolutely 0 NIL offers until you
for 2 years.
I was going to say just until you pick a school.
Because
if you commit to Texas, you can start to receive those NIL offers from Texas. But if you're in the transfer portal, you shouldn't be weighing your NIL offers over 5 schools.
I would agree.
Right?
I would agree.
So I think that those are going to be 2 rules that should be instituted. The way it is now, yeah, it's the freaking Wild West, man. I was hearing Lindsay Whalen talk about Gophers women's basketball. They had 15 athletes on the team last year.
9 of them have left.
9 of them have left. And I think 2 or 3 of the 6 are graduating.
Yeah.
So, like, the majority of their team is going to be freshmen and transfers, which is unheard of.
It's a professional. College sports is now a professional sport. Now, I wanted to ask you, because you said once you get there, you should be able to receive an NIL. We want to talk about the fundamentals of learning how to become a man or a woman who is going to play a professional sport under scrutiny of the media and be a business person and whatever. Now, I agree it is giving them a crash course in how to be a good business person, right? But you don't get to do this in the NFL. I think NIL deals need to be tied directly to a commitment for term to that college. You want to go for $1 million? It's not $1 million deposited into your bank account the minute you get there. It's $1 million
over 2 years,
over 2 or 4 or 3 or whatever years. And then if you leave, because like a lot of these guys, if they leave in the transfer portal, some of them have to wait a year due to eligibility before they can see the field again. You can't take an NIL deal until you can't receive one until you set foot on the field at your new campus.
I don't hate it.
Because that builds loyalty, commitment, and understanding in the arrangements that you preset. The guy, who's the quarterback that left high school early to go to a school in
Ohio State,
Ewing's or whatever his name is, right? Now he's already at another school. That kid's going to see 5 colleges before he hits the NFL draft. If I'm a scout, I'm looking at that going, I wouldn't draft that kid. Are you kidding me? He's just going to always chase the money.
Quinn Evers.
Yep. What are your thoughts on this, Gabe? If it was one of your kids.
Actually, what I was going to ask you guys is, in a way, what are we so upset about? Because we were all probably fighting on the side of pay these kids in the past, right? Like, I mean, I feel conflicted in this weird way.
College football is about pageantry. It's about loyalty. It's about rivalries. It's about having...
No, it's about making money.
That's what it was for the NCAA. It was about making
But
money.
for the
For
fans, right? So like college football has always been different than the NFL because you have, I always thought, more pride. You're not seeing players switch from Michigan to Ohio State the next year like you do with the Packers and Vikings.
Yep.
Now it's all about who has the deepest pockets. There's not really loyalty. It's not because, oh, I want to go play for the University of Texas because Mac Brown was there and Ricky Williams was there, and Texas has this long, great
Tradition.
history of college football. It's no, they offered me $2.5 million and Oklahoma only offered me $2 million.
Yep.
Like, that's dumb. That takes what? Why are coaches even recruiting at this point?
If that's the case, guess what? We need to, if they're not going to make that adjustment, they need to readdress whether or not kids should be eligible to hit the NFL right out of high school. It's not much different.
They should just make it.
It's much different
minor
though.
leagues for
It's
for the
much
NFL.
different though, because you compare 19 and a 23-year-old. There's so much
Oh, I
development
agree, but-
physically that happens there.
But guess what? I hear this talked about at nauseum on other sports stations with some of these veterans. You start paying a guy too early, by the time they hit an NFL locker room, you can't teach them nothing. You can't tell them nothing. You can't coach them to do nothing.
Right.
Why? Because they've already made more money than their entire coaching staff combined.
So, just playing devil's advocate, there's 124 Division I programs
Yes.
with like 105, 110, 115 players each. Not all of these players are going to be in the NFL.
no.
So does that guard for San Jose State deserve $100,000 to play for 4 years?
Yes.
And bring in fans and play well? Yeah, because he's probably not going to be in the NFL and he deserves a chunk of the pie that he made while in college. I think when we get ridiculous is why we brought up the cap number. There's no receiver in college football that's worth $3 million. I'm sorry, there's not one.
And I know everybody's going to say ticket and jersey sales. How many college jerseys do you own?
None.
Gabe, how many college jerseys do
Had
you own?
you ever heard
I
of
would
Jordan
never,
Addison
ever,
before
ever do
today?
that.
I've never even thought of buying one outside of like maybe your mascot's like number 1 jersey or whatever.
Or like, here's the thing. Is Jordan Addison Jamar Chase?
No,
Is Jordan Addison Justin Jefferson?
no.
And those two were extremely popular for LSU. Jordan Addison making $3 million is scary as hell because I had never heard of Jordan Addison
Before right now.
And I knew who Kenny Pickett was throwing him the ball.
Yep.
And the fact that he's making $3 million, like Bryce Young is making more on NIL deals than he will probably make in his NFL career.
Yeah.
That's scary as hell for the game of football, in my opinion.
They are walking this is walking on a razor blade.
Yeah.
College football is walking on a razor blade right now.
All right. So with that, Gabe, lighten the mood a little bit, would you?
Well, there's nothing to move. I've made a decision to go do something, I guess, big because I'm proud of you guys, what you guys have done with this show.
Aw,
I think
thanks, man.
it's just awesome. And I have something, I'm a sports guy. I have a sports card collection. And I have something sort of like my prize card. I've been collecting for, 30 years. And this is like the crown jewel of my collection.
You talking about my Pat McAfee card game?
No, but I also, great card. But it's not like this. This is a little different. This is something big. And I'd like to offer it to our viewers. I'm about to put it on screen. I'm just building some tension. But this is this is actually something I pulled just recently. I actually cracked a set of 1990 tops, which is our 40th anniversary set. And I pulled a 1-of-1 ultra rare. Here we go. Ken Griffey Jr. error card.
What?
Okay. So look at this. It's missing the junior. He's got a lazy left eye, which you can see, which Ken Griffey Jr. does not have. I can't find this anywhere online. This is we're talking estimated price. I got it at $1,200 to priceless. And I'm going to offer it to Glass Half Sports listeners. If you just tweet this clip, we're going to make a clip of this and just tweet hashtag Glass Half Griffey.
Glass half Griffey?
Yeah.
Glass half Griffey.
And if you, as long as we get 1,000. No, you know what? I'm not even going to do a bottom. Just, I don't care if one person tweets it. I will
That's
give
fair.
this card away.
That's fair.
Well,
Wow.
what do you guys think?
That's
That's it. Wow.
it's a
Yeah.
ridiculous card.
It is.
It's
isn't
like
it?
perfectly centered. It looks like it's in pretty good condition.
Oh, it is. No, it is. That's the penny sleeve. You see a little bit of.
Yeah.
It's just I was shaking so much I had to get it into something, some protection. So I had an old kind of top loader that I just put it in just first thing because you don't see cards like this often.
That's bananas.
So, yeah. So
we're gonna have to dig into that. Hey, if you're a part of the sports card community, do your research.
Even if you're not, do you want to make a ton of money?
Yeah,
I think we have some guys that might be listening from Triple Diamond.
Yeah, no joke. Whoop, we lost Gabe.
We lost me, but it's okay. The rest is fine. Let me get you guys back. There we go.
All right.
So yeah.
All right.
Hashtag glass half Griffey. I like that. Jinx 10, you owe me soda. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. Oh, damn. All right. Well, that's all we have for the show, folks. Mike, any words of wisdom for the group before me and you take off for the day, and we're going to go cover the Saints?
Hold Minnesota sports accountable
to a higher standard.
Stop being okay with mediocrity.
I agree with all of what you just said right there, which isn't often the case. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, glad to have you with us for another Thursday of the most, I guess, attractive sports talk on the internet, on the web, back on our homepage at Glass Half Sports on what platforms, Mike?
Yeah, guys, you can always find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube. And if you want to catch us on cable in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, you can on MCN6 Saturdays at 10 p.m.
Why are we at 10 p.m.?
We have potty mouths.
Yeah, I've got a fucking horrible vocabulary.
Yeah, fuck.
As always, we will be with you guys again next week to talk a little bit more about the Vikings. We will try to wrangle in Arif Hassan to come in and talk about some of the things that are going on as we inch ever closer to football season. We will have a little bit more on the Minnesota Twins. Have they stayed hot or did they cool off during their home stretch? Hopefully we will be talking about the Wild getting ready to close up a series against the St. Louis Blues as we move a little bit further there, and much, much more coming off the back of UFC 274. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, stay safe, stay warm, take care.
MBC, no relation to NBC.